Welcome to the 103rd episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we'll be breaking down anime that aired during the third week of the summer 2019 season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since Kat will tell you we spoil everything every single time in a very demeaning manner. My name is Leo, and as hard as it is to admit, I am the Zenitsu of this podcast. Kat is the Nezuko, and Bcom is the Tanjiro. I am the Zenitsu. Also with me are Bcom and Kat. All right. That was an intro.
Hi, I'm Bcom. I wrote that one.
Obviously. I think this
that was in response to the end of our Spring Impressions episode, which was just mayhem. So I was like, oh, Leo's the Zenitsu podcast. He's just so annoying. Oh, man. Gotta love him, though. He's very overpowered, even though he's super annoying at times.
I was going to say, I didn't feel like I complained really all that much. No more than any of you two, but okay. That's the path you're going.
That's fair. You know what we have this week, Kat? We have a 5-star review from 8 months ago.
I was going to say, it's more like you found something, Bcom.
Okay, so I was just thinking, I bet this person, whoever the fuck they are, they left this, right? They hear us begging for fucking reviews. They're like, you never fucking read my review. What the hell? And then now you drag it back up from like 8 months ago. I bet he's not even listening anymore now. He's like, they forgot about me in my goddamn review.
What was the reasoning? Was it because on Stitcher?
And we just it's on Stitcher. I just didn't know Stitcher had reviews. I didn't check. So I've been going around checking all of the different podcast services now to make sure that like I'm not missing some.
So, yeah, okay, Kat, absent-minded Viking, if you're still listening to this fucking podcast,
we're sorry we didn't pass Vinland Saga. No,
yeah, first of all, you get on that fucking Discord server and you tell us, like, I'll do a shout out for you or something. Okay, so long overdue. I haven't listened to the newest episode yet, so I'm not sure what the changes will be after the collab with Anime Radical starts happening.
Nothing much changed.
Yeah, not much.
Nothing.
But I gotta say, you guys give me life. Bcom, Kat, and Leo, thank you for serving us so thoughtful and explosive conversations and sweet banter regarding your love of the medium. If you ever find yourself in Oslo, Norway, give me a call.
Not Oslo.
I thought you almost said Oslo. Oslo, yes.
Oslo. I don't know why I saw a T. I think I've been... Oh, man. Okay. Right now, I'm high as a kite. Apparently, I am, too, because I saw a T instead of an L.
In Oslo.
In snow on a mountaintop. Oh, you didn't mean literally. Okay. But still. So forgive my language flaws. Happy holidays.
Yay.
I hope you had a fucking good holiday, too.
Oh, you forgot the subject line, though, which is actually pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, weekly awesomeness with my new imaginary friends.
I like that too. So I have some family in like Stockholm, Sweden. So maybe next time I visit there, I'll swing by Oslo as well. I've been there once before for like a half a day, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, I'd love to check it out. All right, you guys ready to get into the nonsense portion of this podcast?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we like delayed this podcast like a day because I hadn't watched anything. And part of the reason I hadn't watched anything is because I was binging an HBO miniseries from 2016.
What?
Yeah, it's called The Night Of. And it's weird because it was like a miniseries that James Gandolfini from The Sopranos was supposed to star in, but of course he then tragically died. So it'd been like banging around for a long time. He's still listed as like an executive producer, but it's basically a show starring this actor Riz Ahmed, who is a wrongfully accused murder suspect. And John Turturro, who's been in tons of great movies, is like his like kind of low life hustler of like a public defender who he kind of just sees him in a jail cell at the police station and like this like goes to him and is like, hey, you need a lawyer. And it turns out to be like this super high profile case because the girl who died was in like a rich girl in Upper Manhattan. on like in like the 80s or streets or whatever. I think it's 87th Street. And like, yeah, it's a really interesting exploration about how like the justice system kind of like screws him, even though like he may or may not get off at the end of this, because like he goes to Rikers Island jail while he's like, you know, waiting for his like sentencing and his trial. And like while he's at Rikers for like a few months, like he basically has to adapt to being at Rikers, which means like becoming a much harder person, doing a lot of like illegal shit while he's in prison just to survive. And near like on the outside, like his family is dealing with like persecution because they think that like this he's Pakistani American, and they think that because he's Pakistani, like they should like kill all Pakistanis, or like they go around like there's like a bunch of acts of violence against like people in his community while like the trial's going on, and you know, it's like a post 9/11 type story, so like there's a lot of tension there. But yeah, it's just interesting, all the politics flying around, all of the stuff inside like the police, like what the detectives are trying to do to back their case, and how the prosecutor goes about like, you know, kind of sweeping certain information under the rug to try to make their case better, even though it's not necessarily the truth. And then how the defense goes about trying to figure out a way to make the jury have a reasonable doubt. So basically it becomes like Law and Order by the end, but it's just like a really good version of Law and Order, like one of the best episodes of Law and Order you've ever seen or something. It's a really good show. I would highly recommend it. And it's only 8 episodes long. So yeah.
Okay. I may check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It seems dark, but interesting.
It's very dark, yeah.
How about you, Leo? What the fuck were you up to?
I really have not done anything since we last played. I did some raids with the Destiny clan. That's about it.
You did like 2 raids in one day.
Yeah, we did 2 raids. Yeah, when you got a competent group, raids are really fun, actually. Mm-hmm. Even though they can be extremely complex.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'm very cool.
There's we always do Scourge of the Past, and there's one part where you gotta get on your sparrows, and the giant fiery eyeball chases you, and you gotta go through all this shit. I've made it 4 out of the 5 times, and usually, and two of you have to make it. So like, everybody dies on that for some reason, and only me and another lucky individual ever makes it to the end.
Nice.
But I played a lot.
That's gotta feel good.
I played a lot of Sparrow Racing League, so that's probably why.
Oh, is that back? Oh, no, it's not back. You're just saying, like, in the past, you've played a lot of
Sparrow Racing. I did play a lot of it.
Yeah. I did play a lot of that, too. That was fun. I wish they hadn't removed it from the game. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they'll bring it back someday.
There's not a lot of support behind it, so I don't think it's likely.
They would probably have to make it better. Yeah.
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 But they're drumming up a lot of hype for the DLC in Shadowkeep in October 1st, so... They're putting out little videos like every fucking day. It feels like.
Yeah, and there was like a Gamescom like sort of live first day conference today that had like a cinematic about like the new season or whatever that will come out like alongside Shadowkeep, and it's like, oh, the Vex are back, and I was like, is that really supposed to make us excited? Yeah, we fought the Vex so many times. It's just like, oh, okay. It's a really nice looking cinematic though. Like I don't, it's cool, but. It's just the Vex again.
Oh, what was it called? Yeah. Season of the Undying is what they're calling it.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Kat?
Well, Leo, I need to drag you out more is what I'm learning. Like once a month, I need to like just come to your house and be like, this weekend is the weekend, Leo.
I need to put bars on my windows.
You're going out the house and I'm going to drag you wherever I'm going for the weekend.
No.
Sounds horrifying.
It sounds horrifying. No.
It sounds like the beginning of the HBO miniseries The Night Of, actually. Is what it sounds like. Because like that series starts with like this like really cute girl getting into this kid's cab and like taking him on like this journey, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go because she's a really cute girl, which ends in like tragic fashion. So yeah, I feel like Leo's the one getting in Kat's car, just
I'm like my goal is to just slowly corrupt Leo over time. Like I'm gonna start with kayaking trips, and I'm just gonna progress to like more and more like deep, darker situations, And then before you know it, he's just going to be, he's sucked in.
I spend every podcast crying when I hear Kat's voice.
I would like that. That would be good.
Well, so last weekend I went on a kayak trip, and that was really fun. And then afterwards we went to this very authentic Chinese place near where we go kayaking. And so I really love spicy food. I adore it. This is the only place I've ever been where it was almost too spicy for me. I had to work my way up to this dish. So it was this dish. It was a chili oil soup, a lamb chili oil soup with like just chopped up, straight up chilies of two kinds in the soup. Just like, you know how an American soup would just have like carrots in it. Yeah. Just as the vegetables. Mm-hmm. No, the vegetables in this fucking soup are just cut up chilies. So the actual soup itself is chili oil soup.
Oh my God.
And then the vegetables in it are just cut up chilies. And then swimming on top is just this sea of Szechuan peppercorns. And that's really what fucks you up with this soup, right? Like everything else is good and it's bearable. Those fucking peppercorns.
They're no joke. They're real spicy.
Holy shit. Yeah. So I start eating it. I'm like, okay, it's good. It's not so bad because it doesn't hit you right away. And then I eat like, I think 5 or 6 spoonfuls, and I got so many peppercorns in my mouth. First, my mouth went numb. Then it felt like my mouth was dancing. Like someone had put an intense, like one of those Hitachi wands, like on my lips.
Uh-huh.
It was just like,
Carole Tuesday should write a song about this.
And I was like, what's happening? Why is my mouth moving? What? And then it hit my stomach, and I was absolutely starving. We'd been on the river all fucking day. I hadn't eaten anything since that morning. Like, I'd been laying in the sun. I was ravenous. After 5 bites of the soup, I couldn't eat anything anymore. I was done. I wasn't hungry.
That's awesome.
So what you're saying is you've discovered a new like diet.
Yeah. So if I feel like it could work as a diet. Like if you just every time you felt like you wanted to eat, this is such an unhealthy thing. Like this sounds like an eating disorder is what this sounds like. You just eat like 2 or 3 spoonfuls of peppercorns and then you don't want to eat anymore.
Oh my God.
Jesus. But for real, I brought home the leftovers because I'm like, I'm not giving up on this shit. And for the next week, that's every day I ate it. And I slowly worked my way up. And I can eat it now, bitches. It's good.
I'm impressed. That's tough.
And that's not even the spiciest thing they serve there. I've been working my way up. So next time, do something even spicier.
How are you even going to survive that? You barely survived this one.
Okay, so like the first time I ate it, the day after, it felt like someone had rubbed like chili oil like inside my intestines. I'm not gonna lie to you, but then the next few times, I didn't have a reaction very much, and it was good. So
nice. Coming
you just work your way up. You build your tolerance.
Kat's gonna be on Hot Ones pretty soon. Well, I can't wait for her episode.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It'll be a lot of cussing. I don't know.
We wouldn't be the first.
Yeah. And then this weekend, I spent most of the weekend just at a hotel party. So like,
oh cool.
I was just there all weekend in the pool, like kind of chilling with friends, and that was fun.
Wow, I was watching anime and doing raids.
Yeah.
Well, I am going to somehow find a way to like get you, Leo. You just watch it.
I need to go into a witness protection program.
You need to get out more. You need to do things.
You know what you need to do, Leo?
See outside of your house.
You need to lift some heavy dumbbells.
I love how Bcom is like, I'm going to save you, Leo.
Oh, how heavy are the dumbbells you lift? Episode 3, Sensei's on a diet too. Speaking of diets.
Yeah, speaking of.
So we get introduced to Satomi Tachibana, who complains about gaining some weight and gets recommended to Silverman's gym by a fellow teacher. It's Silverman's gym, right?
Yeah, it's like one word, like Silverman's.
Okay,
yeah.
I was making sure. I was like, is that from memory or is that actually just something? I don't know. So Satomi worries about running into other students at the gym, that the other teacher recommends her to. But then that other teacher's like, what are the chances you're going to run into high school girls in their right mind that would go to a gym? Then the intro, and then it's just opening with her shocked face as she's standing in front of Hibiki and Akemi in the locker room. Hibiki tells Satomi that they should both get really good bodies and break as many boys' hearts as they can. That immediately makes Satomi vow never to come back after her free trial. But then she meets Machio and basically sees him as like her Prince Charming, and she immediately changes her mind and like signs up right there.
I mean, look at that cute face. How could you not?
Oh, Jesus. Turns out she tried some working out at home, and she just ended up sore for days like afterwards. Didn't feel like she was doing a good job.
I feel that. God. like whenever I don't work out for a while, and like the first time I work out again, I'm just fucking sore forever. It sucks.
Yeah, that goes away. You just gotta be consistent. Machio suggests she do some bicep curls, and he shows her the proper stance and a couple tips on how, use proper form and not injure yourself.
I looked into this a little bit because he's basically like, you should like put supination into your bicep curls, which is basically like holding your hands like your palms facing into your legs at the side, basically, or to your waist, and then on the way up, curling your wrists, upwards,
turning your palms up. Yeah.
And yeah, I read about that. Like, basically, it works more of your bicep when you do that, because your bicep is meant for like a couple different things. One, like bending your elbow at the joint, but also for like twisting your forearm up, and I think also moving your shoulder. But like that works both like your forearm and like bicep, and like the longer muscle, which is called like the long head of your bicep. It works a lot. Mm-hmm. But then I also read like you should do multiple types of bicep exercises because it like works different areas of your bicep. Like, so if you really want to build biceps, you should like hit them with like a whole bunch of different types of exercises. So
well, okay, but whenever I do like the different types, it doesn't feel like I'm working different muscles always.
But you are.
Well,
I don't know.
It feels like I'm still. I don't. Maybe it's like. It works one more than the other, but it's still working all of them?
I think so, because like what I was reading was that the supination like kind of works like the... Actually, no, the supination works something that's called like the medial part of your long head, which is part of your bicep brachii muscle or whatever. And then like without supination, it works like the lateral part of that muscle a bit more. So it's like the same muscle, but it's like focusing on slightly different areas. And then there's like a whole bunch of different muscles in your bicep. And like the other thing that I liked that he said was that you should work your tricep against your bicep because those muscles pull against each other.
Yeah, if one gets too stronger than the other, it can lead to injury.
Exactly.
It can lead to injury?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just because your bicep is just like overpowering your tricep. If you only worked biceps, that eventually just like pulls on it the wrong way, and then now you got an injured tricep.
Indeed.
Just imagine like different muscles in your body just beating each other up. Like,
cells at work too. Muscles at work.
In the middle of Satomi's set, Hibiki notices a strange tan line of a diamond over her belly button, and they tease her for like they think she's likely wearing skimping bathing suits. And Machio comes to her rescue, saying, "Leave everybody to their own and whatnot, and they're hardcore hobbies." And she's like, "I think that's a little misleading, but whatever."
Yeah.
well, is he trying to say that maybe she's into like BDSM?
Oh
or
yeah,
something?
absolutely, 100%.
Okay, because I was like, that was where my mind went, and then I was like, maybe he's not going.
What we, the viewer, get to find out is that Satomi's hobby is cosplaying. She also has like a bunch of pictures of her in cosplay, and her alias when she cosplays is Yulia Rico. And it turns out, I guess she's kind of rather famous at it. So,
yeah, she's pretty cute in her cosplay. Like, especially the one like later in the episode at Comic-Con, I thought was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Although it's very rare for like an older person to be very popular in cosplay. That usually like really famous cosplayers only have this like couple year window.
She was like 27, 28, or 29. They said.
I think she was 27.
Yeah.
So I guess not
27.
too old. So yeah, she could still.
Yeah, she could easily still be doing it. And like there's also cosplayers who like get just really popular because of the quality of their cosplay. Like no matter their age. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, she's definitely was in a more professional level. I was surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Hibiki comes up with her own kind of diet where she skips breakfast and has like a big lunch instead. But turns out this is the opposite of what she should be doing, as Akemi informs her This is how sumo wrestlers diet.
Yep.
Akemi then shows her lunch that has like some of the same things as Hibiki's. It's just that hers is steamed or like baked, and Hibiki's is like all fried. Meaning they have like the same kind of food, just that Akima's will have lower calories and better nutrients. And then,
I thought that was like a little bit of a weird way to say that, though, because they don't have like the same food. It's the same food prepared in oil. Like, so adding the oil obviously is going to add calories. It's like, yeah, just don't cook it with oil. And then, of course, it's going to be less calories. Yeah.
Well, and she also had like 20 times more of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So that makes a difference, too.
Yeah, then it just shows Hibiki immediately failing taking this advice, and she like starts off at a diner, and she's like, "This will be I'll start off on my cheat day," and they're like, oh,
"It's like no." Well, it's just like on any diet, like you're like starting tomorrow. That's when my diet will start, and that's why a diet in that mindset never works.
The show rounds it out with Satomi is at one of her cosplay events. When much to her horror, she spots Hibiki and Akima. She freaks out, thinking they're looking for her. But it turns out they're just there to support Macho, who's cosplaying as a character from Lifts with the Straight Bar.
Oh, don't they call it like something slightly?
No.
Yeah,
like, is this
it sounds like Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, are they trying to imply another thing? And then I finally got what they were trying to. Yeah. Did anyone feel like this part of it was just a tad bit random?
Yes, I did. I thought, I was like, oh, it's an anime, so we have a Comic Head episode. Like, that's what I was thinking at this part. I was like, oh, this is so, like, kind of pandery, but at the same time, it fits in with Satomi's character. Like, that's who she is. So.
Yeah.
And that's one reason you would want to get fit. Sure, like, especially in, like, an anime-related context. Like, to be able to cosplay one of your favorite characters, you might want to build your body to look like that character. Or as, like, close as a body can get to looking like an anime character, you know? That's something that some people focus on with their cosplay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, he then gets like really popular with photographers as they recognize him from whatever that show is, and they make him do a bunch of poses. And then as they're all leaving, Satomi gets spotted by Hibiki, and she's curious why she has a backpack and leg each. She assumes Satomi was there to buy doujinshi, and she just lets her believe that. This is better than the alternative to her.
So I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about like Akemi's bento. So I looked at it. It's like 488 calories altogether. And it's like most of those calories are just the brown rice. Like 269 calories of it are just brown rice. Mm-hmm. And like the rest is like grilled salmon and steamed chicken. And then like broccoli and melon and like egg white tamagoyaki or whatever, like just some eggs. And so I was like, okay, there's like a couple things were weird about this to me. Like the level of carbs in there was like slightly weird. Like usually when you would have like a muscle building bento or lunch in the United States, it would just be more protein focused and less carb focused. I don't know. Like it just seemed like there were too much carbs in there, but I could be completely wrong because I don't know shit about macros. So if you do know about macros, let me know.
I think there's so many kinds of diets that you are right and wrong.
Sure,
I will say that a piece of salmon can have like 40 grams of protein in it, although I don't know how big a piece of salmon that was. And that's a decent amount. And then she's also got chicken breast in there, and that has a lot of protein in it. And I mean, she can't have that much chicken breast if she's already... So I'd say she at least has like 40-ish grams of protein, which is a good amount. And the egg, like...
Yeah, I was just a little weirded out. Like, do you think... Like, when you make a lunch, do you have, like, salmon and chicken in the same lunch?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Like, that is one thing. I would just have a lot of one thing. I wouldn't have both.
Exactly.
Nobody has the time.
Nobody has that time.
As someone who makes their lunch every damn morning, I don't have the time to make eggs and salmon and chicken and put it all in the same thing. For me, I'm either putting like a bunch of eggs in my lunch or I'm putting a bunch of salmon in my lunch. I'm not putting all of that shit in there. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm also just lazy. I don't know.
I am too. So yeah, don't worry about it. All right. Anything else before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's get into the third episode of O Maidens in your Savage season. Willie's Real Wheel. Willie's real... God damn it. It's hard. Leo, you say it.
Willie's real wheel. Willie's real wheel. Yeah.
They did a good job of translating that tongue twister to English, for sure. So, yeah. This episode kicks off with Hitoha, who's like the otaku girl, and Rika going to a manga shop, and Hitoha spots this light novel titled If a Girl Peaked by Ai Narimasu, and she kind of drops the manga she's holding and like instantly leaves. And I was laughing because like when she leaves, Rika's like goodbye, and Hitoha's like bad bye. And I just like never thought of making that joke, and I was like kind of stunned that I had never put that together, that would be a funny thing.
Bad
bye. I just liked it. It was like so simple.
Bcom, you're gonna be like such a lame dad one day.
Oh yeah, you
like
betcha.
Oh, you think that's a funny joke? I can just imagine like whatever child you have just hiding their face in embarrassment.
Well, to be fair, my dad did that to me, so I have to pass it down. Anyway. Yeah, so like it turns out the publishing company, so who Hitoha gave her manuscript for a light novel to, like went with Plan B and published this other novel. And they get on. She's on the phone with like the editor, and he's just like, "Yeah, your novel's just like way too unrealistic. That line about like I'm gushing wet, please put it in me already. That just kind of read like a guy's wet dream." And she's like, And so she gets really frustrated, and she goes back to like the online chat room at home, and like starts saying like that to like her friend Miro, and she's like, "Oh, like he likes this stuff. Like I don't get it." And so, like, eventually she gets really frustrated and tells him, like, she wants to meet him in real life to have sex. So, yeah. Izumi at school pulls Nina out of the classroom because he wants to tell her to, like, delete the video she had taken of his confession that he turned down. But, like, she instantly takes control of the conversation and asks him if he realizes the problem that he just created by, like, grabbing her arm in front of all of her class and, like, pulling her outside. Like, obviously that has a different connotation. But, like, before he can even really respond to that, he's just, like, says, like, he's worried about the problems he caused for Kazusa in middle school. And hopes that those things still aren't going on where, like, other girls were angry and jealous of her. But Nina, like, turns the conversation towards sex and is surprised to find out that Izumi is, like, kind of old-fashioned, not expecting girls to be, like, talking or thinking about that stuff.
Which is so weird to me that guys...
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I don't know if in the U.S. guys think that now. But some guys definitely think that girls don't think about that, which is fun.
I don't know if you would necessarily, like, reach high school and still be thinking about that, like these people have, but like I was thinking, like I think it is a thing every guy goes through, and like at some point in their young life when they have the realization that like, oh, girls are thinking about this shit too. And it's like completely normal. And like, yeah, because like there's so much, I don't know, for so long there was so much like TV and media that like just did not portray like young girls thinking about that stuff. So I guess
it is an interesting difference of growing up as a guy, because like girls all know that guys are just thinking about it.
Yeah, obviously.
So I bet that is an interesting transition for you, like the moment where you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and they sort of capture that here where she's like, we think about this stuff, and then she's like, Kazusa thinks about it too. And I was like, oh, well, that's the drop. Or like she just dropped knowledge on this poor guy. So the girls go in search of an advisor for their literature club, but literally none of the teachers want to do it. They're like either scared of the girls or they just don't want the responsibility. So back at home, Kazusa is like watering flowers and worrying that like since no one likes their club, Izumi will never like her either. But then his mom asks her to come over for like some food. But she's like, oh, you need to go up to his bedroom and like grab some ketchup because he left it up there like an idiot. And so she has like Vietnam War flashbacks as she enters the room of like seeing him at his desk, like jerking it. But she's relieved that he's not there. And she's like, oh, he has this Blu-ray of like My Neighbor Totoro, which they call Poporo for, copyright reasons. And she like cracks open the case and sees that it's definitely not My Neighbor Totoro inside there. And so she like runs out of the house. And, like, Izumi was, like, running up to the room because he was, like, yelling at his mom for letting Kazusa in there. And she, like, hands him the ketchup and, like, runs back to her bedroom to find that the Blu-ray that's inside the case is called The Wheels on the Commuter Bus Go, Oh, Yeah, Harder. which is apparently a bus-based, like, groping porn thing. I don't know. It's fucked. But she's interested in this, of course. But we move away. Hitoha is heading out of her house, and here's on the TV, like, some daytime talk show guys saying it's, like, disappointing when a girl's underwear don't match.
Which pisses me the fuck off so bad. It's like, okay.
I knew that would piss you off.
Do you think that women have the money or time to match their underwear every goddamn day? No. Like, you maybe have 1 or 2 sets of underwear that match, and then the rest of the time, that shit is not gonna match, and you just have to accept that and move on, because every single bra that a woman owns costs as much as one of your video games. Okay?
Yep.
Do you think that a girl has time to buy that many bras to match everything, like, every single day? No.
Also, like, I've always kind of cared more about, like, what's inside the bra. Like, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
You know, like, really, it's not worth spending your time thinking about that too much. Like, it's nice when, like, on occasion you have, like, a whole getup together and everything, but it's really not worth worrying about. It's so superficial to worry about that stuff. But
Well, yeah, I mean, for special occasions or whatever. I just thought it was funny, and I was like, I'm gonna yell about this, because...
Oh, yeah, for sure. And like, Hitoha thinks it's important now, so, like, she sees her sister on the couch, right? And she's got, like, blue panties on, which would match her blue bra, and so she just starts, like, pulling her fucking sister's underwear off so she can take them to go out and meet this, like, guy from the internet. And so she's getting there, she's confident now, she's got matching underwear. She's like, oh, if this guy looks shitty or like he hasn't taken a bath in 100 years, I'll just run away. But she's surprised to find this guy looks kind of normal, kind of nice, actually.
I love this part. It's so
but also
fucking good.
kind of familiar. And it's literally this teacher who she had asked earlier at school to be their advisor. And she was like, nah, not this guy. But, like, the second he realizes who she is, he just starts, like, walking away, like, in embarrassment. And, like, he stops at a crosswalk. And then, as the crosswalk goes red, he, like, runs across it to lose her. So after this, Kazusa is having dinner with her parents. And she tries to ask them about, like, the moment she was conceived and how it happened and what they did. But they misread her and they think that she's talking about, like, the day she was born. And so they're like, oh, it took 10 hours and there was blood everywhere. And they're like, oh, this is a great bonding moment. And they, like, end up sleeping in the same bed together with Kazusa. It's, like, all cute. So back at school, the principal is like, all right, girls, you haven't found an advisor. Give up on this literature club. But Hitoha, of course, has found the teacher and blackmailed him into doing it. His name's Yamagishi. And actually, like, when they're reading in the club, it turns out he's pretty good as an advisor because he's like a language arts teacher. And he's actually able to critique Hitoha's reading pretty well and says, like, she did a good job and the reasons why. And Hitoha is still just teasing this guy, though, and she is able to concoct, like, a bullshit reason why the girls should call him, like, Milo Sensei, which is his online avatar, and, like, mercilessly teases him. So, yeah, and then there's just, like, a really quick scene, which is following up on the last episode, where Riko is still thinking about the guy Shun, who likes her, and how he compared her to this celebrity named Erika. And she looks at a picture of Erika in a magazine, and she gets, like, really frustrated because she clearly thinks she doesn't look anything like this girl. And she's just like, oh, he's just, like, lying to me or something is probably what she's thinking. Before Yamagishi leaves school that day, Hitoha actually, like, stops teasing him for a second and, like, sincerely thanks him. And he's like, you know, my Milo nickname isn't based off of the Venus of Milo. It's based off of, like, something called Tough Kids Drink Milo, or it was... Tough Kids Drink Milk, I guess, is like what that. I don't know what that's referencing, but it's weird. So anyway, that evening, Kazusa sneaks back into Izumi's room when his family is out, and she wants to put the Blu-ray back, of course. And she's like, she has this funny, like, realization where she's like, "Huh, that porn took place on a bus. Izumi sure loves his transportation, but he loves trains, like bullet trains, so much that he didn't want to ruin them by, like, watching a porn about trains. So instead, he got a bus porn." And she's like, I love how she's, like, charmed by this because she realizes that even though Izumi is changing, he hasn't changed that much. So she's like kind of at ease about this because he picked out a nice porno. I loved that. It was so good.
It's such a stretch though.
It is.
Come on.
She's such like a naive girl, but at the same time, she's so nice. Like I like her so much.
Well, okay. Also, did she not actually watch the porn?
No.
That irritated me because that could have, first of all, been such a good scene. They wouldn't even had to have shown the porn, just like her reaction to watching it.
Just her blushing face with like a pillow like barely under her eyes. Like, yeah.
And also, I don't think any curious young adult would have a porn and not be able to not watch it.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
So yeah, that bugged me that she didn't watch it. I was like, come on.
That would have been a good scene for sure. So at that point, Izumi walks back in on her. He gets back home and he decides, like, I need to clear up some things. And he starts claiming that, like, he never thinks about anyone close to him when he's masturbating, like, never anybody at school, and never Kazusa, which, by the way, is a fucking blatant lie. There's no way that is true. Because he's like, oh, yeah, I don't, especially that girl who just confessed to me, I definitely don't think about her, and definitely not about you. And Kazusa gets, like, upset. Like when she hears that he's like never thought about her in that way, and he's like, why is she crying? And she like starts crying and like runs down the stairs, falls down the stairs, and they fall on top of each other in a way that like wasn't as tropey as it seems, because they're playing like serious music, and like him being on top of her and so close to her like makes her panic a bit. But like because she's like just having all these feelings rush through her, and like for some reason, as she's panicking, she just tells him to like say this Japanese tongue twister, which they translate as Willie's real, god damn it. Willie's real rear wheel, and say it 10 times fast. But before he can even get like half of it out, like she's out the door and has left. And it was, I just really like this episode. I continue to like this show because it's so like awkward, but realistic, and like, it just feels real and natural, like to like experiences I've had in the past, or my friends have had. And man, I just love watching it at this point. I love all the characters. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah, no, I still like it a lot. I like that they brought the teacher into it as like part of this whole nefarious, like convoluted story. I'm kind of curious where they end up going with the two of them, because obviously they can't really have it be too romantic, because that would be illegal. But at the same time, it is interesting.
I think they're setting him up well to be like a good mentor for her as like a writer, because since he is like a language arts teacher, and for them to have sort of a teasing relationship like that hopefully won't go places, because that would be fucked up. But yeah, we'll see. How about Demon Slayer next, episode 16?
Oh shit. Okay. So letting someone else go first.
Why is that so funny?
I don't know. It just there's this weird interaction that happens a lot between Inosuke and Tanjiro this episode, and I don't understand what they're doing with it, and it confuses me.
Are you trying to read BL shit into Demon Slayer?
Okay, but they totally set it up for that.
No, they didn't.
They did.
No.
He's literally having like a fawning moment every time Tanjiro does something.
Well,
That's
he's like
weird.
Everybody's in awe of Tanjiro though in this show.
No.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, in a week. I think it's actually already out there. I'm going to look it up after this.
To be fair,
There are already BLs of these two.
Well, obviously, there's BLs of everything. But obviously,
No, but they're setting it up. They're setting it up. I'm telling you.
One thing I will say is they did give him, or Inosuke, a girl's face, probably for a reason.
Oh, God.
A lot of anime studios will make a subtle, like easy to ship pairing, and I think they do it to keep the female audience interested.
That's
like,
fair.
To give them something to like hook onto, right? So like this, they set this up on purpose. You cannot tell me they didn't. Like,
Fine. We'll see how this plays out.
Okay, so Inosuke is doing some sort of like weird spatial awareness technique at the beginning of the episode where I don't remember what exactly he calls it, but he like poses and he's like, "Blah!" And then he's like, they're over this way. And he basically just senses out where this thread lady is. And then as soon as Tanjiro's like, that was amazing. And he just has this weird like, oh my God, Tanjiro told me I was amazing. Like reaction.
Oh boy.
Which was totally a crush reaction. Cannot lie to me and say it wasn't. Like the other demon slayers that are in the forest with them are like, now that we know about the threads, like we can handle this, like go. And so Inosuke and Tanjiro go off to the main, like go to find the main demon controlling the rest of them. So they end up coming across another group of demon slayers who are most like, I thought they were dead at first, but I guess they're just very fucked up.
Yep.
Like one girl is like mostly conscious. The rest of them look dead at the beginning. Then you find out later they're all their bones and limbs are just so fucked up and broken that they looked dead, but they're still alive, and they beg to be killed so that they don't have to deal with the pain anymore. So, and of course, Inosuke is immediately like, sure, I'll kill you. And Tanjiro's like, no, we have to save them.
Yeah.
So Tanjiro comes, like, tries to create this way of tangling them in the branches so that they don't have to kill them. And they are able to sort of make them harmless.
And Unosuke, like, freaks out and is like, I want to do that too!
Oh, I know. I'm like, well, you can! Like, chill! Meanwhile, the demon lady who is controlling everyone, I guess her son comes and is like, you're taking too much time, you need to hurry up. And she seems absolutely terrified of her son, her husband, or both. Because like her son threatens that he's gonna get her husband if she doesn't hurry. And so she basically has this panic attack and starts acting more aggressively and attacking more aggressively.
That is like a really odd dynamic between the son Rui and like the mother spider.
It's one thing for her to be terrified of her husband, but it was very odd to see her be terrified of her son. But yeah, so Tanjiro is attacked by the girls in a lot of pain. And they, that whole thing happens. They are able to sort of neutralize them all. And then suddenly, like, the thread user just decides, well, since they neutralize them all, I'll just kill all the human ones because they're too weak anyway. And she does. She just, like, snaps all their fucking necks.
Well, she also decided to use, like, her ultimate puppet, too, at the same time. As part of her reasoning.
At that point, but we don't see that yet. We don't know.
No, that was part of her reasoning for killing them.
Well, yeah, but we don't see that puppet until later. But like the
but
focus
she says the line.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to use that puppet. Yeah.
The focus is on like these like people's necks being snapped and like Tanjiro's reaction to
which
it,
was brutal as fuck.
Well, I like how they played it because he just gets really quiet, but then Inosuke like senses this like red seething rage coming off of him, and then Tanjiro just like quietly is like, "All right, have you found her? We have to go like kill this bitch."
I liked that the mood changed a lot.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good moment. So then they head off. They encounter this new doll that's stronger, and it almost looks like a zombie. It has no head, and I don't know what it's made of. Honestly, it's kind of interesting. And Inosuke first attacks it brashly by himself and almost dies, and Tanjiro is able to save him at the last moment. And then, of course, there's another one of his weird crush moments. I hope they don't overplay that, because it's cute, but like if it happens constantly, it's going to be annoying.
Well, you were the only one really picking up on it, so...
Well, I saw these moments. I didn't think about them as crush moments, but now I will, so...
God, just bring us down with you, don't you?
And then Tanjiro's like, we have to finish it together and jump on my back, Inosuke. And Inosuke does. And he slices the thing's arms off. And then, and then he's like up in the air. And Tanjiro like is on his head like one of those rappers who like spins.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And he like slices the thing's fucking legs off. And then Inosuke jumps back down from where he was up in the air and like cuts the torso in half, and they're like, yeah, sushi, bitch. And it was awesome. It was an awesome moment.
That was really cool looking.
And then, of course, Inosuke's like, I have to do something awesome too now. And he's like, anything you can do, I can do. And like tosses Tanjiro up in the air. And at first, I didn't really understand what he had done. Because I was like, did he just throw him to prove that he could also throw him? That's shitty.
Pretty much. That's Inosuke.
And then I was like, oh, okay, he threw him like directly towards the thread lady.
Yes.
So you see Tanjiro like coming down, and the thread lady's like watching from below, and he's getting closer, and she's like, "Oh fuck, I can't do anything." And then she has this moment of like, "Oh, but I kind of want to die because at least then I'll be at peace." Mm-hmm. And she almost like opens up her arms and is like welcoming it. Mm-hmm. And Tanjiro, like you can see him kind of changing the attack that he was going to use.
Yeah, I love this moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and he kills her very peacefully.
Yeah,
which I
this,
thought
like,
was interesting.
Blessed rain breathing form that is just like really beautiful and like kind of puts her to rest, like really just gently, even though he like beheads her, but like still like, yeah. The way it just looks
how
looks
you behead
gorgeous.
someone gently, but the like animation of it is gorgeous.
Yep.
It is.
I think in reality it's probably bullshit because I doubt there's any way you could just gently behead.
And also
someone,
the cut was just very straightforward. There was no flair to it either.
Mm-hmm.
Just one straight cut, so that was a little bit different than some of the other attacks.
It's just very graceful. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get flashbacks of her, like her life and why she wanted to die. And she basically gets abused by her husband while the children kind of blame her for being abused and laugh. Yeah. But they all are demons. So I almost wonder if they were a family before they became demons and like becoming demons twisted them. Or it'd be interesting. I think we're going to find out more about it.
For sure. Yeah. And this show is like slowly beginning to get darker and darker. Like we had that episode earlier in the series where like Muzan like just like straight up like eviscerated someone in like a back alley, and I was like, damn, that's dark. But like this stuff like with the snapping of the people's necks and like everybody getting beheaded, like it's getting very dark, this show. But like at the same time, I don't feel like it's edgy either, because it's like maintaining like a consistent like story throughout and maintaining consistent characters, and like these moments don't feel like they're just for the sake of like brutality. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know. And she seems, as she's dying, like she says that Tanjiro has these really kind eyes, and then she remembers that someone looked at her like that when she was alive.
Yeah. And
I had a moment of wondering if maybe that was her husband when they were both alive, and they just got really twisted and corrupted.
Very possible.
That's just the story I've like told myself in my head, though. I'm sure that we'll see what actually happened. But yeah, she wonders where that person is now, and she tells Tanjiro as she dies, like, there's a member of the 12 Kazuki here, like, be careful, because she kind of likes him.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's an interesting ending.
I just want to watch more.
Yeah,
I am not as into this as you guys are, but at least this was a little bit of a better episode.
Yeah, this is a very solid episode, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of solid episodes...
Boo! Boo! It was not a solid episode. Boo!
It was perfectly fine. So, BIM, episode 3, Shadow. It opens with an outside party on a terrace going on, and like a figure falls from above, and as it passes by, it shoots a bolt into a guy's throat, and then just like parachutes away. The media ends up reporting it that he died of a disease. And then we see like a representative claim he's taking over the previous guy's goals and cleaning up the outside. But later we see another guy talk to the shadow guy, and he wants him to kill another person for him.
Right.
I don't think, no, you didn't even find out who the shadow guy was talking to by the end of the episode. It was really weird. And
that was a little bit of my issue with the show right now, is that they're being like really mysterious about all of like the various forces in the background. Like there's a scene near the end of the episode I'll talk about later where it's like they just keep showing these councils of people, and you're just like, I kind of understand who you are, but I don't understand why you exist or what you want. So yeah.
It turns out there seems to be some kind of like a turf war at the arcade that Bello likes to go to. And the other gang has brought a new guy named Daryl Bryson, and he has apparently won multiple tournaments at the game they're going to play. They start playing their game, him and Bello against each other, and the scores are pretty much dead even as it progresses until there towards the end, then Bello gets serious, and then he just smashes the guy. The two end up meeting out back, and Daryl tells him he knows he wasn't serious with him until the end. He then tells Bello he should come back to Upper with him where his home is so they can have a serious fight a serious fight at the beginning of the match at his house. Mm-hmm. And then back at Daryl's place, we see he has basically a sweet-ass arcade room, and like his dad's there, and he turns out to be like the bodyguard / secretary for a representative, Carter, and they switch between Carter and Carver constantly through this.
Wait, do they really?
That's weird. I changed it 4 times, and then I just start making tallies. I'm like, why do they keep going back and forth? It's driving me insane. Yeah, I don't know. As Bello and Daryl are playing like some of the games, Bello notices the presence of that yokai Shadow, and like he quickly grabs some darts and runs into the room, and the other two are the representative of his bodyguard, where they're having a drink, and you see like a line that's hovering down from the ceiling over Carter's drink, and you see a drop of poison fall down and into it. And you researched that, didn't you?
Yeah. Because like I had this image in my head for a long time, and I was like wondering where it was from, because I think it was in the original Shogun Total War game for PC. There would be animations for like ninja attacks, and there would be like varied ones, so it'd be kind of random each time. And so if you wanted to like assassinate an enemy like daimyo or general or something in that game, you would get a little cutscene, it like whether it like succeeded or didn't succeed. And one of those cutscenes is dripping poison into like the teacup or whatever of like a general without him knowing. And so I researched that, like where the hell did that come from? And it's apparently like an unconfirmed story about like the Japanese like hero Ishikawa Goemon, and how he tried to drip poison into the cup of Oda Nobunaga to kill him from like a hidden place in the ceiling. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's obviously where that comes from.
So as Bello bursts into the room, he throws one of the darts that shatters the glass. He throws the rest at Shadow. And then two just kind of like bounce around the room for a minute before Shadow jumps out a window. And then they realize Bello saved him, but then they go to thank him and realize he's suddenly gone also. And it turns out Sonia, our detective, also seems to know Carver. See, that's why I kept switching up fucking Carter, and gives him a call because she is concerned she saw the news. And the two kind of agree to meet up. And then Shadow is briefly shown in the sewers, and a man in a suit tells him they no longer care if he does the killings in the open. He doesn't have to be secretive about that anymore.
But by the way, Shadow constantly just keeps saying "nin," like for just like "nin" throughout this episode. It's like if he can speak, we can find out because he says something to the guy. I think that guy's name is Helmet. I don't know if the show has actually told us yet, but like I found his name online. But like I was laughing when he kept saying "nin" because I was thinking of like Monty Python and the whole Search for the Holy Grail, where like the knights who say "nee, nee." And then I was like, oh, maybe he's just a big Nine Inch Nails fan. Like, what is this "nin" about? I don't get it. But anyway, it was just funny.
Oh, he also has a pet hamster, which is just never explained.
Oh yeah, that's true too. I forgot. Just like chewing on that sunflower seed.
There's a lot of things in this anime where like they're not connecting the characters very well from episode to episode. They're just introducing more characters, and like there are things that they're never explained, and
the anime kind of expects you to like put together a lot, and I don't think it's quite giving you enough tools to do out all of that yet. And it's just like slowly unraveling the mystery, which can be kind of frustrating, like especially if the eventual revelations aren't like exciting. You know?
Like, maybe I would be okay with it if later down the line they're going to attach it all in a way that makes me happy, but I have a feeling it never will.
Kat, I think you have it in your mind. Nothing will ever make you happy about this, no matter what they do.
Well, look who's talking now.
I'm trying to remain open. I just don't like being confused. I don't like it.
Even though Daryl's told by his father never to meet with Bello again, he does anyways because he wants Bello's help in protecting Carver. Because he really respects the guy, and he also wants to eventually inherit his work and carry it on one day. But then it turns out it's too late, and Carver is killed in the open like later that day or something like that. And then Daryl returns home to find his father getting ready to meet with the committee and get themselves back on their feet. Turns out Daryl's father is happy for the killings because it has like caused him to move up and for his own counsel so that he can take control of the outside his way. He also plans to overtake the Unseen Council that runs the city and drag them out into the open and take their power. Bello also listens in to this whole thing. So, yeah, there's some Unseen Council that we don't know about yet. That's mysterious.
Yeah, because in the first episode, there was something called, like, the Helmsman, which, is that the same thing as the Unseen Council? That was, like, what I was trying to figure out, and I wasn't totally sure. But, yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like there's a yokai council running shit behind the ground.
Well, they show that, like, brief shot, like this is what I was talking about earlier, of, like, these people who are in, like, a room that has, like, a lot of pink lighting.
Yeah, that's
That's
at the end. That seems to be, like, because they talk about the other monsters, like water, and bowling pin guy. They got taken out. But then they show a separate image of, like, a yokai sitting at the head of like, a table and a bunch of people. Yeah, that happens later on. That's how the episode kind of ends. We then see like a mysterious figure meeting with Shadow and tells him they have some small fries for him to take care of. They're starting to get some big heads. Daryl gets Bello and takes him back to his place. And once they get there, Bello senses the other yokai and rushes upstairs to find Daryl's father being stabbed through the chest. That's when Bello removes his headphones and reveals his pointed ears and transforms into like basically his goblin form. We also find out he has a really fast regeneration ability because he like gets sliced in the arm and just heals up really quickly. And he ends up beating Shadow by eventually causing him to fly out the window. That's when Daryl arrives and he blames Bello for his father's death, which is really interesting because Bello seems hurt by this considering he seemed the less caring of the three. So that's kind of just like some character development thing that's neat. Like he doesn't want to help humanity in the first place anyways. It's kind of his whole shtick. And then we see a quick scene of like a mysterious man with a coffin show up to retrieve Shadow's body from the waters. And then that's when we see a bunch of yokai discussing the deaths of the other three. And finally this council confirming it was Bello who killed Shadow.
Right. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny how like what's his name? Daryl like just was like, you gotta 1v1 me, bro. Come to my house, like to Bello. I was just laughing at that, like the gamer part of the episode. Yeah, I actually went back and rewatched the first two episodes, and like after watching all three in a row, I was just like, yeah, besides like the story problems that Kat and I were talking about, I think there's a bunch of like animation jank, and there's some like kind of hit and miss CGI. It's like, I don't know. And one of the other things I don't really like is the transformation scenes when like the Bellos or Bems like transform into their wolf version or whatever. Because it looks like Michael J. Fox in Teen Wolf or something. It's so goofy.
It's an odd transformation sequence. I can give you that one, but I'm just like, whatever.
But I, like Leo said in the initial episode, I really like the soundtrack. I think it's a really nice, like jazzy noir like soundtrack. And so I'm enjoying that as I watch through the show, at least for sure. The last thing I want to mention is, so this episode 3 like aired, I think on like July 28th. Episode 4 didn't air until like today when we're recording this podcast, which is August 19th. Because they were deferring to the Kyoto fire incident, and they didn't want to have an episode that involved fire on the air so soon after that. So it's gone through like a rather long delay. So I'm interested to see what the next episode looks like with that delay.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Anywho,
Break time.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Sure.
Pat ourselves on the back. We'll be right back.
I'm excited because the best show is after this.
Oh, that's so not true. We'll be right back.
The Trash Pandas bring you this nugget from another trash can. What happens when Brains and Bullets discuss episode 2 of One Punch Man?
Pretty much gene splicing heads. They will
Yep.
They will splice genes. They have a cyborg gorilla. They have frog that walks on 2 legs and communicates at long range. Like they got. You think they splice
the Lion King?
Yeah, they have the lion. They have a f***ing lion, beast king, and
Simba.
Yeah, he's f***ing Simba. I don't mean he's f***ing Simba. I mean he's f***ing Simba.
We at Trash Pandas Watch Anime dig through the trash so you don't have to. You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter where you'll get live updates from what we do.
Hi, I'm JD, your host of the Red Leaf Retrocast, your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. Our podcast has 4 shows for you to listen to between retro gaming, modern gaming, anime, and even wrestling. The Retro Gaming Cast covers discussion topics, and each episode we discuss retro games picked based on a decided theme for that episode, ranging from space all the way to console specials like the old handheld Game Boy. Our Modern Gaming Cast is monthly and covers video game titles that were released in that previous month. Each anime cast, we focus to review a retro anime each and every episode, like the original Mobile Suit Gundam to the racing hit Initial D. But that's not all. We also keep up with the seasonal shows, by occasionally doing impressions and reviews as well. Finally, our last show is about wrestling, where we keep the rising indie scene up to date, while also covering shows from the bigger promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE, so we cover it all. We also cover a retired wrestler every episode in what we call the Wrestler Spotlight, and are currently on a quest covering old WCW Thunder episodes from the late 90s, every cast. So if any one of those casts sound like something you'd like to check out, that's the Red Leaf Retrocast, Gaming, Anime, and Wrestling, found at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, you can learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We can't wait to see you soon.
All right, we're back, and we have Kat's proclaimed best anime next, Dr. Stone.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. Like, come on.
It's not bad. Yeah, I like it so far. It's got its cute moments, for sure. Episode 3 of 24, Weapons of Science. So Senku is obviously concerned about Tsukasa wanting to just, like, kill all the old people and start a new society with all the youngs. And so he thinks to himself that I just won't tell Tsukasa about this miracle fluid. And then, of course, Taiju comes over, like, screaming about it, like, before he can tell him.
Well, because he has no deception ability.
Yeah, he's
like,
just a block of meat.
Better.
He's a meat man with a pea-sized brain, like, literally. He's just, yeah. So he's excited to wake up Yuzuriha, finally. So Senko's like, oh, Taiju, we just need to get a little bit more of that miracle fluid. Why don't you go off to the cave by yourself? And Tsukasa catches on and is like, no, tell me where this cave is. And he goes off there. Which was kind of bait, because Senku either just wanted him to not go to the cave or wanted Tsukasa to go to the cave alone so he could tell Taiju what the deal is. And he quickly starts making the fluid to, like, break out Yuzuriha, and explains that, like, Tsukasa is, like, he wants to build this crazy world, and he's a murderer, and he's not interested in that, not even a billionth of a percent interested. He wants to do his Operation Save Every Last Human. But yeah, Tsukasa's just, like, crushing a bunch of adult statues on his way back, which gives the guys time to finally break Yuzuriha out. Who Taiju has, like, you know, kindly put into a skimpy tunic before waking her up. And she has, like, a little tearful reunion where she's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but thanks. It's cool to be here.
Yeah.
Senju tells the others, like, all right, guys, we have 2 options. Plan A is Taiju and Yuzuriha just, like, run away and just live somewhere far away. Plan B is they all 3 team up and they try to fight Tsukasa before he can finish his murder spree by developing the weapons of civilization. But, like, as they're talking about this, Tsukasa's like, well, because he hears them talking about him murdering people, he's like, well, murder is one way to look at it. You could also just call it culling the population for the benefit of my new civilization.
You know when you have to make another word that isn't murder? That's when you know you have a problem.
Yeah, there might be a problem there.
Yeah, it's a little bit problematic. And Taiju's like, no. And so Taiju's like, I'm going to fight you. And then you'll stop killing people. And Senko's like, this guy has no chance. So he grabs a crossbow which he's been hiding, and he fires it at Tsukasa. He later says like the bolt was flying at like 200 kilometers per hour or something. And Tsukasa just he spins and grabs it out of the air and like throws it into the ground. And then he continues to like spin and whirl around and like hurricane kicks Taiju, who surprisingly blocks his kick. And Tsukasa's kind of like, wow, like nobody's ever been able to block that kick before. That's pretty crazy. Taiju's very strong. And Taiju basically offers like to let Tsukasa just like beat up on him if he'll just stop murdering people. And Tsukasa's like, I don't see what the deal is, that I don't get anything out of this deal. Senku just kind of laughs. But Taiju finally does like sort of pass out from this crazy kick. And Tsukasa just says like, all right, you guys leave me alone. You take care of Yuzuriha. I'll do what I need to do. Yeah. So Senku's like, all right, the only way to take this dude down is we're going to have to make weapons of science. And so he like roughs up their camp to make it look like they ran away and just left, like took some food with them. And then he's like, we're going on like an 80-kilometer journey to the south. And he's like, our goal is Hakone. And I was like, oh, this brings back such fond memories of Run with the Wind for Leo. I'm sure. He thought we were never going to watch that show again, but here we are. We're going to Hakone.
Unfortunately, they finished this travel pretty quickly.
Yeah. It doesn't take 23 episodes, yeah.
No.
So, yeah, one of the things like Yuzuriha notices that was kind of cool, that the cherry blossoms are different from how she remembers. And Senku's like, well, the like sakura blossoms you remember aren't self-pollinating, so they would need insects to pollinate them or something. And so with all the insects being petrified, I suppose, they just died out immediately. And Senku also tries to use a sextant, which is like a device for like viewing the angle between the sun and like the horizon, to try to like tell what latitude they're at, basically. Because you can tell latitude by knowing the time of day and the angle of the sun in the sky. But he has to know the time of day. And how does he know that? He's been counting the seconds.
Which is bullshit. That part does bug me with that kind of stuff. Like when they were saying, I counted the entire time we were petrified. I'm like, no, you fucking didn't. Because like, you know that you would think about other things. Like you could... No one has the fortitude to just keep counting for thousands of years. Like eventually you'd stop and be like, man, this sucks. I hate my life. Like,
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
we've already had this conversation.
Well,
Let's
I
move
know,
on.
but it's the same thing. We're like, does he really want us to believe that the whole time he's been talking to these other people, been like foraging for food, that he's been counting the entire time as well?
Fighting with crossbows. Like, yeah, he's just got a second part of his brain that's just constantly ticking. And that's how
Yeah,
he...
that doesn't make any sense. No! I would have believed it more if he would have been like, at this time, you can, when the angle of the sun is this, then I know it's this time exactly. And that's how that would have been more believable.
So...
Because I feel like there's probably a way to do that, right?
Only if you know your position in the world, I think, though. Because, like, with a sextant, you're trying to find out your position by knowing the time.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, it'd be hard to... I mean,
we all need to brush up on our sextant skills, obviously.
Because the time of sunrise and sunset changes. So, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's clearly we would die.
Yeah. If the Nerdom and other nonsense were like on a planet and we're like, all right, we're the only people, we would all just die out probably.
Yeah, if Leo was Senku and I was Taiju and Kat was Yuzu, we would all be dead.
Yeah. I'd just be yelling at the lion like, God damn it, no! And it wouldn't work. Yeah.
So Senko's not really able to tell where they are, obviously, and so Yuzuriha, though, like, runs off and sees, like, there's, like, an open field through this clearing. And she's like, oh, well, why would there still be like a field somewhere? And they come across one of the big landmarks of Kamakura, which is the great Buddha or like Daibutsu statue. And Senku says, oh, it's made out of bronze, so of course it wouldn't rot. too much, and it's like also leaking copper ions everywhere, so all the plant life's going to die around it, which is why they were able to find it in this clearing. And like once he remembers it's made of bronze, like Senku like goes up to this statue and starts like hacking away at it. He's like, "Oh, we can make mirrors. I can upgrade my stupid sextant. It might actually work." I just like how Yuzu kind of like laughs at this, even though Taiju's like freaking out about him like killing a Buddha statue. There's a funny scene where Taiju is like literally dragging them down a river on a raft. Like he's in the water in front of them like a mule, just like trudging along. And they have paddles, so I'm like, I don't understand why this is so necessary, but apparently it helps. And they also notice that Yuzu's foot has like still a little bit of petrification on it, so they pour some nitrile on it. And like Senku also like briefly explains that they have these cracks in their bodies. Because I think Taiju asks if the nitrile has like a reviving property or something, and he says like when you reverse the petrification process, like the cracks in our bodies mended.
That explains what all those black lines on them are.
Yeah, but like I was also laughing because like okay, so Senku and Taiju have them on their faces, but of course Yuzu doesn't. She has to remain a bae, so she doesn't have any cracks on her face. They're like on her arm. I think I saw one. Like a spirally one, so yeah.
Yeah.
So finally they arrive at their destination, which is this hot spring near like some volcanic activity. And Senku explains that the goal is sulfur, which will allow them to make black powder and the gunpowder, basically. But we also see that unluckily Tsukasa like goes back to the camp and he like instantly sees through the like disguise and sees that they're like leaving to go somewhere and like instantly puts together that they're trying to make gunpowder and that he needs to stop them because he's like super smart.
That bugged me because I don't feel like that's realistic either. But okay,
he seems pretty OP. Like he's super strong. He's super smart. He's just ridiculous. But I like Senku, who's like, we're warping ahead like 1,998,700 years in terms of civilization. He's such a nerd. I kind of like it.
I do like the nerdness. Yeah, it's fun.
So yeah, it was a fun episode. I'm curious to see if they're able to build like some sort of gun, and like also like what kind of gun they try to build. Because it's not like they have like manufacturing tools that would allow you to build like something like complicated yet. So yeah,
I mean, he could make a makeshift bomb with gunpowder, but
that would be probably the easiest thing to make.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think he really wants like a projectile weapon, like of some sort. Man, we're gonna talk about projectile weapons more when we get to Demon Girl Next Door. I'm so excited about that. But first, Kat has a show she wants to talk about.
Yeah. Given. Fuck you, Leo. I didn't say too many shitty things about your show. I was pretty nice, so.
That's true.
So,
all right.
I hadn't seen anything yet, but Bcom was talking about the Mafuyu character. Yeah, he's bland as hell. Holy
Wait,
shit.
you haven't seen episode 3 and yet you're talking right now?
No, he's seen episode
before.
3. Before that, he hadn't seen
before
anything
that, because I didn't know. But yeah, I totally back up what Bcom said about him. He is just flat out sucks.
Well, right. I mean, he's just the uke character. Like, I'm hoping they flesh him out more, but right now he's just very timid. And it's like, it's always that way. Like a couple seasons ago, there was one where it was a yaoi between a teacher and a student. And the uke was really bland there too. And I was always like, suck it up. But like, he is, it's supposed to be that way. I get it.
I get the trope. It's just, I wish there was more characterization, which they start to do near the end of this episode. Finally,
they do, and I think you'll see more as time goes on. Like, so at the beginning, Sato, you see this like scene where he's talking about how he's not lonely, even though he'll never see him again. I think he's talking about his brother, but I'm not sure. But he's definitely talking about whoever he got the guitar from, and I totally called that last episode.
Yeah, you were like, somebody's gonna have died, and like he'll get the guitar from them. And
it's because it's a very common storyline.
Yeah.
Okay, the uke has to be tragic. It's the way it is.
I was laughing when I heard that near the end of the episode because I was like, oh my god, Kat actually like 100. Actually, I was suspicious. I was like, did Kat watch ahead?
No, I didn't, but I've watched a lot of yaoi.
Well, there you go.
Well, you're going to have us beat on that one, I think.
Yeah. So Haruki, the long-haired band player, is waiting for his friend Akihiko, who pulls up to the bike area with this girl on the motorcycle that isn't so is Uenoyama his first name? That's the most terrible first name.
That's
ever.
his last name, Uenoyama. I think his first name is Ritsuka. Yeah.
Okay, because I cannot say that all the time.
You could probably just call him like Ritsu.
I'll call him Ritsuka.
He's a K-on character now, Ritsu.
Yeah. That isn't Ritsu's sister, Ritsuka's sister. And of course, Haruki's just like, why do you have to be this way? Like, I'm not even seeing this right now. Like, because, they have this thing and it's drama. But everyone has that friend like that, I feel like, who always has to be like with a different person every week or whatever.
Well, and like Haruki's like, you don't even understand what a heartbreaker you're being, like, because like clearly he's like oblivious to how much Ritsuka's sister likes him.
But he can't be, because she flat out tells him.
He seems pretty oblivious.
Men are dumb.
Men are dumb, some of them especially.
But yeah, so anyway, like that happens. They're both surprised that Ritsuka asked Sato to be in the band, and I think that he likes him, which I thought was surprising, because usually in shows like this, like the idea that one character likes the other doesn't come for a long time. So that's new. Although I think that as culture evolves in Japan, I have seen some like loosening of that stereotype. The old-fashioned yaois, it would be like, I don't know why I feel this way about you, and everyone like around them would be like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why are they connected? And it would be like that for a long ass time before anything actually happened. So it's a good thing, I guess, that the genre is, developing with culture. But yeah, so Sato turned Ritsuka down when he asked him to join the band, which I thought was interesting. Ritsuka is really angry, and he decides that he isn't going to give up, even though the rejection is humiliating. So he continues like throughout an entire day to try to talk to Sato more, but Sato just keeps avoiding him and being like, I gotta go. And like at one point he goes and is like, damn, we're having lunch together. And he's like, I didn't bring lunch. And then he goes to this job interview directly after school. So like, no matter what he does, he can't seem to get this guy, talk to him about this.
I also like how the other band members are just like laughing at him, like,
yeah,
going through all this.
Yeah, it's cute,
Mm-hmm.
But I loved how he looks up like how to invite people into a band online, but like nothing really comes up, and so then he has to like look up how to ask someone out again after they rejected you. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. But yeah, so it says like, remain calm and composed, blah, blah, blah. And so he's looking at these tips as he like tries to talk to Sato one more fucking time. And the class bell rings and he has to go. And he just, yeah.
Don't they also like make fun of him because he doesn't have his like cell phone number or his like email either?
Yeah, because one of the other ones, like the long-haired guy, he has his cell phone number, but Ritsuko doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's very clear from the beginning, like, I'm not as interested in you as you are me. But yeah, so the long-haired guy, I'm trying to remember their names.
Haruki is the long hair.
Haruki. He asks Ritsuko, like, hey, why don't you go, like, why don't you ask him why he said no instead of just continuing to ask him the same fucking thing over and over again?
Great advice.
Like, and he like looks at him like, I've never thought of this in my life. And so Sato goes and like gets interviewed for this job at like a gig place where bands play, and he gets it. And then Ritsuko waits for him outside to talk to him once fucking again. Like, I'm a little concerned that a normal person would think that he's being a stalker at this point, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, that's true. Like, he would come off like that. Like, if a normal girl like turned a guy down like this, or even a normal guy turned a guy down like this, it just at a certain point you would probably tell him to stop.
It would feel threatening. Yeah. Like, even if, yeah. So it's, I guess, nice that didn't happen. Not realistic, but nice. But yeah, so Ritsuko goes to talk to him again and is interrupted by some blonde dude who recognizes Sato and asks, like, what are you doing here? Like, I haven't seen you in forever. It feels like you fell off the face of the planet. Like, is that Yuki's guitar, or do you play now? And Sato just runs away. And Ritsuko chases after him. And we get these flashes of a funeral. And Sato thinking that he just can't seem to manage well with all of this.
Yeah.
I still don't know for sure who it is, but I have a feeling it's his brother.
So I got a feel, after all like the first 2 episodes, and especially after this moment of characterization of Mafuyu, I got the extreme indication that he is like on the autistic spectrum. Like how he's
maybe.
I don't know how to deal with people like who are like expressing themselves through laughter or tears. I don't know how to do that. And that's like a clear sign of autism in many cases. So I was wondering if like they're literally trying to characterize him as an autistic character, or if they're just like he's just like an uke. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know how serious they are. Yeah.
It could be that they're trying to go there.
If he truly has autism, then I will not be as mad at this character as I am now. Because that's a good reason to.
That would be a good reason for why he acts the way he acts, is that he's just very socially inept.
He's like flat, yeah. I guess we'll see that. That's a good thought, Bcom. But yeah, I don't know. And it would also be interesting. Part of me wonders if maybe it's not his brother. Maybe like he had a boyfriend and his boyfriend died.
Yeah, or if it was like a band member, because I don't know if he was in a band before, because like maybe he sang. I don't know, but like he obviously couldn't play guitar, so.
Yeah,
but Yuki, this person, did play guitar, so.
Yeah, mysteries to be unfolded.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Ritsuko catches up to him and asks him about the guy and Yuki and like, why can't you join the band? And does that have to do with why you can't join the band? Sato says it doesn't. And he talks about how if you're in a band, you have to express yourself in front of lots of people. And he doesn't feel like he could do that. He doesn't feel like he always has people tell him it looks like he's not thinking about anything.
Right.
And of course, Ritsuko says like, that's bullshit, and screams at him and is like, there's no way. Like, you're not thinking about anything.
Because he's like, your song like shook me to my core. So how could you not be thinking about anything? Which is like, okay.
So you're telling me this guy's a singer. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so then comes the singing scene. And I know you didn't like it, Leo. I know you didn't. But to be fair, this is in the middle of the street. It's impromptu. And
that does not explain how bad it was.
I think it's supposed to be bad. I think it's
physical reaction. I jerked back and sat up in my chair and went, that's what they're going with? Holy shit, that's awful.
The quality of it isn't what surprised me, because I've watched a lot of music shows. I know you're used to it, Leo. I know
gorgeous,
you're not
Leo.
used to to music shows, Leo. Like, I know that Carole Tuesday is like the exception for you.
Leo, that shook me to my core.
Ooh, we got our own yaoi going on in the Nerdom Another Nonsense podcast.
No, but but then my next thought was like, they're in the sound booth. So he probably got a couple takes, and I'm like, that's the one they went with? How awful were the other ones? Holy shit.
Okay, but like I said, there are a lot of, I've watched a lot of music like animes, and most music animes have shit singers attached to them. And so to me, I'm just like, well, this is average quality, because I'm used to the shit. Carole Tuesday is the exception.
I was trying to think, all right, what's the worst music anime I've ever seen, but the singing was still better? And I was like, oh, that Action Hero and Cheerfruits anime that Bcom made me watch.
Did we watch any of Fuka on the podcast, Leo, or did we drop that?
Yeah, we hated it, though.
The music scenes from that were actually pretty decent, though.
No, the music was fine, and I think they had good voice actors doing that. But no, Truck Coon and all that fun shit.
Truck Coon. My boy.
But the way it always works is they sing terribly. The people around them always act like they just sang the fucking Mona Lisa of music, and we all pretend that that's true. That's just the way these shows work, okay?
So I then went to the comments, and that's all anybody could fucking talk about was that scene and how cringy it was. And there were like some people like, I actually muted it halfway through because I couldn't take it anymore. So I was like, okay, I wasn't the only one who just like had a painful reaction to it.
I know. Well, okay, I will say the fact that the thing they had him sing was La 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 was really irritating to me.
I agree.
At
Kat,
least
you just
sing
did 5
something.
times better than what he did right here, right now when you said that.
That shook me to my core, actually.
At least sing like a sentence or something. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. I didn't like that they had it be La 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 because that's just cringy. I don't know.
It was something. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Before the episode ends, there's a flash of that blonde who was talking to Sato earlier, talking to someone called Shizumi about seeing Sato. And then, Ritsuko gives Sato a fizzy drink, and he says, thanks, but I can't drink it, and it's awkward. And then Sato's like, are you sure you're okay with me? Like, I'm pretty weird and awkward. I just turned down your drink. And Ritsuko's like, I am okay with you. And so Sato's like, I'll join the band then. And it's like, yeah. And it's like, okay. So I guess we'll see. I like your idea, Bcom. I do hope they go there. That would be at least something different.
And I do want to see his singing in the context of the band. Like, I hopefully it will sound better when he's like at the front of a band with music.
It won't.
Maybe it
will sound bad. What was the name of that anime?
Oh God.
With the girl with she always has like a thing over her mouth, and it came out a couple seasons ago.
Oh, shoot! I can picture it.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Oh man, I didn't watch all of it, which is why I don't remember. Yeah, she always has the mouth mask on.
Yeah, that one reminds me of this, where like the idea is really good, the music was terrible, and like every time they would sing a shitty song, everyone around them in the anime would be like, "This is the best thing I've ever heard in my life," and I'd be like, "Really? I don't know."
I searched I searched music anime surgical mask on Google, and it didn't work out. Nothing came up.
Yeah, but I still liked the anime. I just knew that the music was shit in it the entire time. So I feel like this will be similar. Yeah, but that's okay. I'll forgive it. This was not the best episode. We'll see.
Understatement of the session.
Fucking understatement.
Oh, fuck you. Like Demon Girls any better. You knew it was shit,
please,
Bcom.
it's
You know
adorable.
this episode was some pile of dog crap on the floor that needs to be picked up. You know it's the case.
I highly disagree. This episode was adorable and sweet and everything nice. The Demon
killed
Girl.
me
Oh God.
was, for some reason, I thought the show was like a 12-minute show, and then it was a 24-minute episode, and I was like, fuck!
Okay, Demon Girl Next Door, episode 3, Nightmare or Forebear. The doorstop of darkness descends. So yeah, this episode kicks off with Yuko, who's like the cute little demon girl, being awakened in her dreams by Lilith, her demon ancestor from the Dark Clan, who like, she asked her if she remembers the last time she contacted her was like when she got her horns and everything, and Yuko is like, oh, it's right on the tip of my stomach. And she's like, oh, you mean it's digested and you don't remember? And she's too sleepy and she tries to go back to sleep. And then after the OP, Lilith's like, okay, let me explain this to you. I'm your ancestor. And Yuko's just like, that doesn't make sense. You're blonde. And Lilith is like, well, you know, we've been around for like thousands of years across many different lands. So, of course, my appearance might be different. But Yuko cuts right to the chase and asks, like, Lilith if through all of those thousands of years the Dark Clan has ever won a battle against the Light Clan. And Lilith just kind of like deflects and doesn't answer the question because, of course, they haven't. And so Lilith is like, all right, we're actually inside the deep recesses of your conscious mind right now. And tells her, like, I'm just going to pull out some table and chairs from, like, your thoughts. And it's like, I've been watching your progress, and I would give you 5 points. And Yuko is like, oh my god, 5? Are you sure it's okay to give me that many points? And Lilith is like, it's out of 100, you idiot. And so, like, don't be happy. And Yuko's like, I thought it was based on soccer goals.
Leah, did you laugh at this at all?
I laughed at the stupidity, I think.
Some of it's pretty cute and funny.
It's not funny.
It's funny.
Not...
Oh, it's so good.
I don't find it funny either. It's such a drag just watching it.
Well, let me tell you about all the other funny things that happen. So,
shit.
Lilith badgers Yuko about being weak-minded and untalented, but she gets thirsty, and so she asks for a drink from the deep recesses of her conscious mind. And so, like, a thought bubble pops up out of Yuko's head with a Coke inside of it, and she grabs the Coke, and then she, like, tries to chug it, and she just, like, starts burping for, like, 30 seconds. Like, cute burping, I guess, if you can cutely burp. And yeah, Lilith explains the Dark Clan has the power to dive into other people's dreams and manipulate them. And again, she changes the subject when Yuko asks, like, oh, have we ever used that against the Light Clan successfully? And obviously they haven't. And Lilith tells Yuko that her soul was like a pain in the ass to connect with because it's so weak. Like, if it was a cellular network, she's only getting 1 bar, and like she thinks Yuko has put her heart in airplane mode or something because it's impossible to reach. And Lilith's like, all right, we don't have much time left because your mom's trying to wake you up for pancakes, but there's a lot more I want to tell you about your dad and like the device inside the demon ancestor statue, and also about your secret power. But like when you wake up, your memory is going to be really unstable, so you need to write all this down immediately so you remember it. And so like Yuko finally wakes up and like runs downstairs and like, Mom, where's a notepad? She tries to write this stuff down, but her mom's like, also, can you write down this grocery list? And so she's trying to write both things down at once and obviously forgets everything that was just said. The only thing she does remember is like when she goes to wash her school uniform, there's a little bit of Coke on it, or like cola from the other day. And she's like, I think I remember my ancestor in my dream, because she was drinking Coke in the dream. And her mom's like, that might have been really important. Did they say anything important? She's like, oh, no, I don't think so. And she's like, I need to grow up, though, I think. And so she tries to wash her school uniform, which is made out of wool. And so she washes it the wrong way, and it like shrinks to like half of its size, which sucks. Have you ever like had wool clothing like that, like shrink on you, like washed the wrong way?
I don't think I've ever had wool.
I haven't had wool for such a long time, like, because wool is just such an inconvenient thing to wear. Like,
okay, so I have some wool pants, and I feel this every time I have to wash them, because I'll be like, I'm going to wash them correctly this time, and then I'll somehow shrink them, and then they'll be like another inch shorter on my leg, and I'll be like, well, fuck. Because now I can only wear them in the summer, and then they're not really wool. Like, you can't have wool pants, and you wear them in the summer. So I've done this. I have.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I remember my mom like warning me about it back in the day, but I think I did that too, and then like we just never bought wool clothes ever again. So Yuko is like, oh, she goes to school in her gym clothes, and of course, like Momo, the magical girl, shows up and has like a spare uniform, just like ready to go for her, but it's also like way too big, and so like people are like, you look like a kindergartner with like a smock on or something. Also, Yuko's little sister, who I guess her name is Reiko, but she calls her Ryo at times, has thought out a good strategy to defeat Momo, which is using projectile weapons, or as Senku
Weapons
would
of
say,
science.
Weapons of science. Yeah, exactly. And so at school the next day, Yuko has built like a rubber band like gun, and she's like, oh, I'm going to take Momo out with this, and like Momo just sees her standing on a chair with her like oversized uniform and like is like pulls out the sewing kit and just is like, can I please fix this like for you? Apparently she's really good at sewing, because when she does her magical girl transformation, it like rips her clothes a little bit all the time. And so instead of getting new clothes, she tries to fix them. So
I hate Momo as a character.
Because she's so nice.
No, she's not nice. She's like sly and tricks her all the time in shitty ways.
That's true. She does call herself cunning, like later in the episode.
She's not nice. She's just very snide and like
Well,
manipulative.
I think it rides the line of being like really nice while also being manipulative inside, which is what makes it funny to me, because like she's being nice in a way that like crushes Yuko's spirit and everything. And so like Yuko.
Okay, so she's being nice in a way that crushes her spirit.
Yes.
Think about what you just fucking said.
But that's like an accurate description of what she's doing.
She's not being nice.
So Momo's like, she hears about this conversation about the projectile. She's like, I think I should help you come up with this awesome projectile, since like I'm the one who's going to be defeated by it eventually. So I should obviously have some input on this. And she takes Yuko to an abandoned factory, which at some point in the past she blew up using her magic, and for some reason also bought afterwards, which is suspicious. She tells Yuko, you're not going home until you use your magic to like shoot something. And she gives her like magic wand and tells her to like aim at the ancestor statue for target practice. But like Yuko can't get the wand to do shit. And Momo's like, well, you need to discover a catchphrase which resonates deep within your heart. And Momo's is like, mine is fresh peach heart shower. And so Yuko tries like
peach heart.
Yeah. Sounds like something a magical girl would shout out. And Yuko tries to like figure out something that like resonates deep within her heart, and she's like yelling all these things about food. She yells like Panda Express at one point, which that's like, oh, that resonates deep within my heart too. Yeah. Momo like finally gets a little frustrated with Yuko and tells her like, not all magical girls are like cunning like me. Like a lot of them would just boil you alive. I liked how Yuko pictured softly boiled seaweed flavored Yuko soup mix above her head when just like terrified by this. And so Momo finally figures out, all right, food is the way to this girl's brain or her heart. So she's like, I'll cook you some 100% Hamburg steak.
Does she even have a heart, a brain?
I mean, her heart is on airplane mode, as we know, and her brain is definitely like just turned off.
She has none.
It's barely there. Momo's like, wait, there's something that's called 100% beef? And like it's just ridiculous. Like Yuko like can't imagine that there's like 100% beef out there. She's never had such a delicacy. Yuko continues to shout catchphrases until she finally stumbles upon, I hope that everyone will become friends. And like a little pink ball comes out of the magic wand.
It's not really a little pink ball. It's like a tiny speck.
Then it has like a tiny cute voice. It's like, it starts like coming back at her, and she gets like afraid. She's like, oh, will this hurt if it hits me? It's coming so slowly that it's like you should barely be afraid of it. But the like little speck is saying like, oh, master, please. She's trying to come back at her. And like Momo's like, it'll hurt as much as like a intramuscular injection, which kind of hurts when you get like an injection into muscle. And so they run away, but it catches up with her, hits her in the back. It hurts. And yeah, that's really where the episode ends. It's just more cute shenanigans with this show.
See,
I think
this is where I get the
funny.
idea that you like really stupid women anime characters.
I mean,
and that this is what you want out of like your future wife is just a really stupid bitch who like
I would
doesn't
not
understand.
want Yuko to be my future wife ever.
Are you sure? Because like on this
Absolutely.
whole
That would
episode, you've been
suck.
like, and then Yuko did this thing, and it was so cute.
Like I can
And that
find
was you
something
this
funny and
entire
cute without
episode.
wanting it, like in my life. Like it would be a hassle to have in your life, but like I think Momo and the way that she plays off of Yuko is really funny. Like I know she is kind of mean to her at times, but at the same time, like Yuko is trying to kill her. So like I feel like there's some grounds for that. But I liked how they start hinting at how Momo has like a backstory, and because I also really liked that they used the word cunning instead of like I'm nice, like unlike the other magical girls. She says cunning, so that means she has like some kind of plan for Yuko, in my opinion. I don't know what that plan is, but it probably plays into stuff.
Nefarious. Probably involved like turning her toward like the magical girl side or something, going against her own interests.
Yeah, I mean, because she's said in like one of the first episodes, I'm done with this whole light clan, dark clan thing. So maybe she thinks like if she can manipulate Yuko, she can just end this war once and for all, and they could all be happy together. So who knows? But yeah, I like it.
Maybe he could like Yuko as like a side bae, you know?
Side bae. I don't know. Like, I just don't want my clothes getting destroyed. Oh, Momo also is a bad cook. We found out in this episode.
Oh, there's another trope.
Weapons grade food. Anyway.
Well, at least we can all agree on that Carole Tuesday is a good show.
Hell
Yeah. At least we don't have to end on that depressing note.
Oh, wouldn't that be awful?
No, I know.
Well, yeah.
Episode
you can
15.
thank me for ordering the shows that we talked about then.
God only knows.
You're welcome.
The girls decide they should up their stamina after working with Tobey because they fucking worked their socks off. They exercise a little bit at their place and like later go for a run. They pass Gus and Rhodey, who yell at them to stop. They don't, so they have to chase after him, and it totally kills Gus. He's out of shape. They even suggest Gus should probably start working out too. They have big news to tell them. Apparently, they have received an invitation from a pretty big artist, at least according to Gus. We find out he is a big artist. He's by the name of Desmond. Or they. Then there's a quick scene on a plane as Valerie and Spencer are flying to their next stop. Spencer advises his mother to stop listening to Jerry because it will bring ruin to her and Earth. Jerry shows up at this moment, and Valerie just tells Spencer to stop trying to advise her in secret like a rat.
Like a rat.
It's like a sick burn from your mother. God damn. And then that night, the girls sit out on the roof and listen to like a track that Desmond's that Gus sent them. We don't hear anything yet. This leads to Carole asking about Tuesday's father, and she doesn't even really know where he is. And last she heard, he was on Earth. Also, from Mars, you can see the Earth.
It's way too big. I was like, is part of the world building that they like moved the orbits of Earth and Mars closer together? Because it's humongous in the night sky on Mars. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's practically a moon.
Yeah, it looks as big as the moon. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. The four then set off to go see Desmond, and for a second, it looks like Gus won't be let in because the robot takes forever to pause. Then it's like, and finally Gus so-and-so, and that was pretty funny. Inside, they find like this place to be more like just a giant like greenhouse of trees and plants everywhere. And they finally come across Desmond, who is sitting at his piano and singing a song. And yeah, we get to hear the whole song. It's did you guys have anything you wanted to say about it?
I like his voice a lot. It's just really unique sounding. It sounds kind of like Bon Iver's voice a little bit. But yeah, like the character I would compare more to like a David Bowie figure or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that fits, like a David Bowie figure. I didn't dislike the song. It just wasn't one of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So once he finishes, he tells them to go ahead and ask him questions. Carole's first asks if she is truly androgynous. They say yes, and it's because of the radiation that falls from the Mars sky has slowly been changing. He was formerly a man into a girl, and like he's in the middle of the transition, and it feels like he's been reborn. And he's back at a starting point because when a embryo is turning, it's not a male or female yet. So, and that's where he feels like he's at. So, yeah. Which
is an interesting description of that. Which is like, yeah, we
really
all start off androgynous. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they explain this finally, this like hole in the whole story, because you know that there are other characters that have had this transition and they've talked about it.
And they gave it a certain name earlier too.
Yeah,
it's like Mars syndrome or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I imagine that would be terrifying to like not have it be your choice to transition and just suddenly be like, oh, and now I'm not a girl anymore. Now I'm not a boy anymore. Like that would be terrifying.
So I went to my brain. I know the exact thing he's talking about. I know the exact technical term. So like we all have testicles. Either they drop or they go inside and they turn into ovaries instead.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. If nobody knew that, that's a little bit of information there. So I was like, okay.
So everybody's got balls, is what you're saying.
Yeah, everybody's got balls. They also ask about who all has come here, and Desmond says there's a place everybody signs and he would take them as well. He then gives the girls like a little bit of a tour of sorts. And Desmond says a bunch of stuff about how music is good for the soul and yada, yada, yada. And Desmond also apparently only had one love who he died young. It affected him greatly in his music for a while, but all his songs he writes are for him, and it's what's carried him on. Yeah.
And like I like that he says that like all these songs like are about him, and I thought that once he was gone, like I wouldn't be able to keep singing, but he's had all these friends come who wrote these signatures on his floor of his house, like saying the basic, because his words were so genuine that they moved like other people, even though they know the song is not about them, they share those similar feelings. So yeah, it's like how music works. Like obviously it's how good songwriting works. A lot of people will kind of identify with the song, even if it's not about them. So
yeah, there's also a debate happening between Simmons and the current president, Hamilton. Simmons is Valerie, Tuesday's mom. Simmons wants to deny refugees from coming from Earth because it will threaten people's jobs.
They took their jobs.
They took their
Doesn't it sound familiar?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Hamilton thinks it's inhumane to not allow them entry because Earth is apparently in turmoil. It's kind of fucked up place over there, I guess.
Really, we should just build a really big wall around Mars. That's
space wall.
That's my solution
Space wall
for this problem.
Just big space wall right between Earth and Mars. And like Spencer's just like had enough of this, and he just walks outside, and he comes across the reporter Kyle, and like Kyle's trying to like offer him like some help or like some inside info, but Spencer just outright refuses the guy at every turn. Won't even let him get 2 cents in. Desmond eventually takes the girls back to Gus and Rudy and says cryptically he's going to die soon. And he basically just asks them to carry on his goal of like uniting people with love and music and blah 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 blah.
And blah 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 blah. The technical term.
He then sings another song again, and at the end of it, he falls into a coma. Mm-hmm. And it seems he didn't take his medication because it affects his singing, and he wanted them to hear his last song.
Interesting.
But that's kind of suicide.
I mean, his life was coming to an end, though. Like, he chose when he wanted to go, and I think that's fair to do. I don't know.
I mean, I guess. It was weirdly framed, but I did think it was beautiful.
Yeah, and one last thing, Valerie also wants to end the trade agreement with Earth because otherwise Mars will become enslaved, and that Mars is humanity's new dream. Sounds like she just wants to basically abandon Earth entirely.
Yeah, and it was interesting because Desmond's last song is kind of, he's singing it over like the debate between Valerie and that Hamilton guy. And his song is sort of all about like bringing people together. And he talks about how music is like a nutrient which can sustain people. But then he says like all modern music is just like poison. This AI produced garbage.
Which I don't think is really fair because there are some songs that we've seen that are AI that were good.
I agree that like I don't think it's all poison. I think he's saying that probably like the songwriting of a lot of modern music he feels is lyrically empty and doesn't have like a message that like can soothe or help people in any way. And I feel like that a lot about a lot of music I hear on the radio, that it's just like very vain and empty and like just has nothing to it. But that doesn't mean that it's bad music necessarily. It just means that maybe that music is not for you, or maybe you have to find different things to enjoy about that music. So yeah, I also kind of disagree with Desmond a little bit in that sense.
Yeah, there's like different music for different times. I think, I mean, when you're dancing, you don't really want something that's like all full of emotion and sadness. Like, but there's also times when you're in your car and you're chilling and you want to hear something really
like there's times when you want to drink like $100 bottle of wine, and there's times when you want some Keystone Light. Like, you know, that's that's what you need sometimes. So
yeah, so you know, it all has its place.
Keystone Light of all things.
Well,
Fuck.
For beer pong, that's literally the only thing I've ever used it for. Obviously, Desmond is kind of meant to be like sort of the inspiration for the girls' style of writing songs that truly matter to people and that will reach through to them. And it's the show's way of saying like, we think this is like the good path to take with music, is like to individually craft songs that like really mean something to the writer and the people that it's being written for. Whereas like the AI production is sort of just like mass taking in information and figuring out like what will most like make a person purchase a thing. You know, like, I don't know, it's way more corporate in that sense. But I don't like which one is better. That is like the whole question of the show, I guess. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So yeah, you got like I also got kind of Prince vibes off of Desmond, but David Bowie or Prince or something.
I think that was just the androgynism that you were feeling. You know,
I was looking around because there was that album cover that Tuesday had in her attic when she was growing up of his album, which was called Miserere, which is like based on like a Bible psalm, like Psalm number 51, I think, which is all about like repenting to God. And I was trying to find if there was like a David Bowie album or something that had that cover. Or I was looking for a similar album cover, but I couldn't find anything if they based it off of something. But it looked like him being almost crucified with arrows, essentially, like having like an arrow in like the side, just like Jesus on the cross. I wonder if that's a reference, but I couldn't find anything. If you guys know, let me know. So
this was a little bit more of a chill episode. Like, it's not the best episode. It wasn't bad. It just was a little more calm.
Yeah, there was also all that like imagery of like this guy like literally lives in like a jungle like area inside like a greenhouse of like plant life and butterflies, and only interacts with like one robot. It was such a weird existence. He's like completely withdrawn from modern society.
It
doesn't really feel healthy. Like, I know he said he had this one person he loved, but like you could probably get out there and find other things. And
yeah,
I don't know.
I wonder if the girls will write a song about him, about meeting him. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah. All right. I think that's everything for today. Leo, you want to take us out?
All right. Thank you for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. Also, definitely come and hang out on Discord. It's really fun to talk with everybody every time. And with that, we'll see everybody next time.
Peace.
Bye.